This is Nadine bringing you Ventura Vibe, a podcast featuring the local treasures of people and places that make our community here in Ventura so special. I've got interviews, games, community resources, and volunteer opportunities to get us connected. So let's get started. On today's show, I'm putting a little spotlight on local treasure and awesome local nonprofit FoodShare. I love that this organization is very community-oriented, a kind of running theme on my show. In their brochure, it states, "We are a community of donors, volunteers, supporters, and programs with a common goal of feeding our hungry neighbors." That's a wonderful and powerful mission. So let me introduce the president and CEO of FoodShare, Monica White. Welcome, Monica. I'm so happy and honored to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
Give us a brief rundown on what is FoodShare.
I'm happy to be able to share about FoodShare. I feel so passionate about this organization. So FoodShare has been in existence for 41 years.
Wow.
And it was started by a very generous group of friends who banded together to feed some homeless who were living under a bridge in Ventura. And what quickly grew into their garage and outgrew their garage, they grew into a fire station in Saticoy where they rented it for $1 a month. And as they saw the need and the food that was available, they quickly realized that they had more work to do. And so they moved to a warehouse in Oxnard where we are today. And 41 years later, we are distributing tons of food, and we have a 36,000 square foot facility that we serve the hungry in Ventura County.
It's great. So who do you serve?
It's a good question, and we get that one a lot. Many people assume that we are only serving the homeless, and that's actually a very small portion of the people that we serve. So 1 in 6 in Ventura County is considered food insecure, meaning they don't know where their next meal is going to be coming from. But the fact of the matter is that those people are seniors, they are veterans, they are children, it's working families, they're people who are just trying to make ends meet at the end of every single month. And that it comes to 75,000 people every single month that we serve.
That's an amazing number. So how do you do it? How do you serve this many people?
Well, it's an amazing system, actually. So it's a network that we work with community partners, 190 different partner agencies, pantries. They're all nonprofits. And what we do is we work with that network that we collect the food, we procure it, and we get it out to them. So they could be serving it through a hot meal site. They could have an after school program. They could have a pantry. If there's any nonprofit in Ventura County that is serving the food insecure, they're probably getting the food from FoodShare.
Where do you get the food from? How do the donations come in?
Yeah, we have multiple sources. One is the government. USDA provides us with food for low-income families. That's a small portion of it. Community food drives. We have 500 plus community food drives where anyone from the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the 4-H clubs, that they're doing they do a food drive to be able to collect food and give that to us. We also work with growers. We work with farmers, manufacturers. Anyone in Ventura County that is producing or manufacturing food has us on speed dial, and they will donate food to us. And then the big part of it is retailers. So we have agreements with anybody who's selling food in Ventura County. Every day they have food that they no longer can sell. And so we call it rescuing, and we will pick it up from them. We will either get it directly to an agency where they can distribute it, or we bring it back to our warehouse. But it's amazing the amount of food that comes in and goes out of FoodShare. It's about 1 million pounds a month.
Wow. So this food that's coming in from vendors, that's restaurants and grocery stores? Is that
grocery stores mostly? So not restaurants.
Okay.
So it's no prepared food actually comes through our warehouse, but it's produce, it's dairy, it's canned food, boxed foods.
But
meat.
It's not just canned food. You get quite a bit of fresh food.
We do. So about 30% of the food that we distribute is the produce and fresh fruit, vegetables. We work with the Port of Hueneme as well, so we get tons of bananas. They're a great partner. Pineapples, melons. There's a lot of food here in Ventura County.
There is.
Yeah.
Great. So we were talking about food rescue a little bit. Can you elaborate more on how food is rescued?
Yes. So we work with volunteers. That's pretty much one way that we can function to the level that we are at right now. We only have 28 employees, but we have 2,500 volunteers on an annual basis. And so how they help us is to be able to rescue that food. So going to Vaughn's, going to Costco, going to Sam's Club, and being able to pick up that food when they're no longer able to sell it. And then they help us sort it. A lot of that food, we need to make sure if it comes in from a community food drive, we need to make sure that it's okay to be able to give to our partner pantries. And so they'll look at it and they'll make sure that the expiration date is within the timeline that we can use. It's 1 year after the date, the expiration or best by date is still good to use.
That is good to know.
And if it's make sure it's not really overly dented, doesn't have rust, all of that, and give it the test of, would you give this to your mother?
Yeah.
And if it passes that, then we can pass it on to our hungry friends.
So this all takes place in this huge facility that I took a tour of, right?
I'm so glad you came down.
I loved it. Thank you. Oh, is it called the warehouse?
We do. So we have 2 warehouses in Oxnard.
And then
you saw both of them.
Yes. It was all a big blur. I just remember one big, huge building. The warehouse is kind of the hub of Food Share, right?
It is. It's the hub of that network. We like to compare ourselves to Costco for all of those nonprofits. It's 190 different nonprofits that we're working with. And so being able to get that food in and out as quickly as possible, that's our plan, that's our model, and that's what we do best.
So you have food sorting that happens there, but you also have something else that happens there. Correct?
We do. So, volunteers, as I said, are very important to us, and we have so many volunteer opportunities for anybody who wants to come help, serve our mission. So we do food sorting, we do box packing, because we have senior kits that we pack. There's a 30-pound box that we give to low-income seniors here in Ventura County. We have to pack 3,500 of them every single month. So you can come do that. We have a garden. We work with the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging that is right next to our warehouse. And so if you like to get your hands dirty, you can come in and weed and harvest and plant, and all of that goes to our hungry neighbors
good.
As well.
I was going to save that for our community chest segment, but I'm glad you mentioned it now.
I don't mean to mess you up.
No worries. The thing that I thought I remember you telling me about was agencies come to that warehouse to also get food to bring back to their pantries. Is that correct?
They do. So they shop there 5 days a week. They have a set shopping time that they can come in. They can pick up cans. They can pick up cereal, pasta, rice. They can actually shop from our cooler where they can get fresh fruit and vegetables. We have beautiful, beautiful tomatoes and apples in there that I just saw today, and cucumbers and squash. It's kind of amazing. But they come in and there is no price. There's no cost for any of the food that they shop from us. We have waived all of the shared maintenance fees that we had in the past. So there's no cost. There's a small cost if they need it delivered, but if they want to come shop from us and they are an approved agency, there is zero cost.
So basically, you feed the food banks, right?
We feed the food pantries.
Pantries.
Yes.
Okay.
So we are the food bank of Ventura County, meaning that we serve, and then we serve all of the pantries. Yes.
Okay. Got to get my terms straight. Oh, very good.
It's actually the number one question that I get. What's the difference between a food bank and a food pantry?
Oh.
So thank you for letting me answer that.
Very good. I saw on your website you have a number of programs, and you just briefly mentioned about the senior nutrition program. I want to know a little bit more about that one.
Okay. So the senior nutrition program, we have, we work with the city of Oxnard. And so there we deliver meals to homebound seniors in the city of Oxnard. So we have one driver who's been doing this for a very long time, and he is absolutely loved by the seniors that he visits. visits on a weekly basis, brings them meals, and then also supplements those with fresh fruits and vegetables as well. And they enjoy seeing him, and he's a highlight of a lot of seniors' weeks.
Oh, good. And you get funding from the government to support this program also.
So this is from the city of Oxnard,
okay.
Yes. But one of our funding does come from the state of California, also funding from federal USDA, so that we do get food from them that helps support the people we need, that we feed, not need.
That's great. That sounds like a great program.
Good.
I want to talk a little bit about disaster relief. What is Foodshare's role in disaster relief? In particular, recent disaster we had in the Thomas Fire.
Yes. We're the food people. So when the Thomas Fire broke out, the Red Cross, their jobs is obviously to open those emergency shelters, and we are there to be able to supplement the food that they need for the people who are at the shelters. We work with the Salvation Army and the Red Cross to be able to provide them with snacks, fresh fruit and vegetables, things that they need to be able to feed the people who are in the shelters. We also took on a new role in that we weren't used to. This is my first disaster, not necessarily Foodshare's, but so many corporations and companies wanted to donate food. They said, we want to help. We want to be able to help those people who are in the shelters and who have lost their homes. And so there was a huge outpouring of food support.
Yay!
The Red Cross didn't necessarily want huge deliveries of food or could use them down at the fairgrounds, right? So they asked us, they said, would you please be able to be the conduit for that? We said, absolutely. That's our job. That's what we do well. We have a loading dock. And so we saw so many pounds of food be able to come in from Foster Farms, Giovanni, Kellogg. There were just all these people who wanted to be able to donate. And so we were able to take those in and be able to get those out efficiently, be able to store them. And so it was something that we felt really good about being able to help.
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. That's a good story. Now, one other thing you told me the last time we talked about the service industry, their impact. They were the most impacted. That was surprising to me.
Yeah. So on the donation side, we were able to help with the first responders. But the other thing that we noticed, or we knew what was going to happen, we worked very closely with another food bank in the north that had just gone through a fire as well. And so, unfortunately, they had some best practices that they were able to share with us. But they said, you may not necessarily see the extra need now, but it's going to be in a month. It's going to be in 2 months. It's going to be in 3 months. Well, here we are 18 months after the fire, and we are still seeing that need.
Wow.
We've seen a 1 million pounds of extra food has gone out over the past year, just to be able to serve. Probably what we're seeing is that it's families who were affected by the fire, but not necessarily lost their home. So it was like a service industry. So it was people who were landscapers, gardeners, housekeepers, nannies, window washers, pool cleaners. Almost 7 families per house that was lost was affected by their household income was affected by it because they were no longer able to serve those houses.
Oh,
those are the families we're seeing that are coming to our pantries.
Wow.
So those are the ones we're serving, and we will continue to do that as long as needed. After a fire, it's a long recovery, and the food is part of it.
Wow. All right, we're going to take a little break right now. When we come back, I will wrap up the interview. We will play a quick little game and check out some fun volunteer opportunities in the community chess segment. Stay tuned. Thanks for listening to Ventura Vibe, a podcast celebrating the local treasures of Ventura, California. I'm your host, Nadine. I've got Monica White in the studio with me today. She's the president and CEO of Foodshare. We've been talking about how Foodshare helps in disaster. I want to kind of switch gears a little bit to, do you get pet food donations?
We do.
What happens to those?
Well, we have a nutritional policy.
Okay.
And part of that is that we cannot and we do not distribute candy and soda and pet food. alcohol, energy drinks. So there's a couple of things that are they're not part of what we distribute. But what we do is we put those all aside. The pet food, we distribute to the County of Ventura Animal Shelter. Once a week, we send them a big, huge bin of all food and pet supplies that we receive. And then also with the candy and soda, we put those aside, and the Naval Base Ventura County comes and picks those up and ships it to the military overseas.
All right, that's good. We're going to switch gears again. I want to know, what keeps you up at night, Monica?
That's a great question, Nadine. I probably share the same angst with probably every food bank CEO, is there someone out there that needs help, that needs food, and doesn't know about our services? I mean, they can go to any one of those pantries in Ventura County and get food. There's no cost. There's really no paperwork to fill out. I mean, if they go in and say that they need food, they will receive food. They will leave with food to be able to put on their table for their families. And if there's someone out there who doesn't know about what those services that we have, that's what makes me just heartbroken.
Oh, such a wonderful resource. We'll try and get information out.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Now, what is in FoodShare's future? Can you share what's on the horizon?
Well, we had our annual fundraiser last night, and I gave this speech, and one of the things I said was that looking back at the past year and our quest to solve hunger, I said we have some good news and I have some bad news. The good news is that we distributed 13.2 million pounds of food. It's it's a milestone in FoodShare's history. We just distributed to so many people who needed that food. So in the same breath, of course, the bad news is that we distributed 13.2 million pounds of food. The need is not decreasing. The need continues to grow. And with the increasing costs of housing, the cost of living, not just in Ventura County, but everywhere, it's just that people are going to have to be able to find ways to make ends meet at the end of the month. And so FoodShare's future, I believe, while we would love to be able to shut our doors and say we have fed everybody and there are no more hungry people in Ventura County, that really isn't going to happen. And so we continue to be able to find more food, be able to secure more funds, and be able to continue our services to be able to feed those in need.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing all you do now and in the future, because it's such a great resource that you have.
No, it's an honor to work for this incredible organization that no matter where I go, people will just say, thank you for doing what you do.
Yes.
And how can I help?
Yes, exactly. So where do you get your Ventura vibe on when you want to be positive and think of only good things?
Well, that's a good question. I think my favorite place, and it's really where I always bring visitors from out of town, is the Cross at Grant Park. It's such a beautiful place to be able to take people up and be able to see. You see the coastline, you see the mountains. It's a beautiful place, and so to me, that's happiness.
Oh, that sounds like a great place. I mean, I've been there. That sounds like a good thing to do.
I've reminded you how wonderful it is.
Exactly. Okay, now it's time for a game. I'm calling Can Do Spirit. My original title was taken. I saw you have an event coming up called Food for Thought. That was the original title.
Oh.
And so if I've unconsciously lifted this title from some other FoodShare event, I apologize now. So, Monica, are you ready?
I'm ready.
This is lightning round. Most requested item by the people you serve.
Protein.
Weirdest food item you've received.
My favorite was a can of soup that had a $5 bill wrapped around it.
Awesome. Food items you'd love to see more of.
Peanut butter.
Food items you'd like to see a little less of.
Peeps.
Is that a food item? Monica, you've won the game! You have won this Ventura-themed license plate-looking sticker, a prize that teases a program involving food share called Imagine No Hunger, a license plate offer in coordination with the DMV. Listeners will be able to find more information on that very soon on foodshare.com. Thanks so much for playing my little game, Monica, and thanks for being such a good sport. It is now time for the Community Chest segment. I like to highlight opportunities for volunteering in the area. I believe that people helping people is our greatest resource. Now, I know that FoodShare has volunteer opportunities because we've talked about them already, and because I volunteered there. I worked in the garden. It was a very lovely experience.
Thank you.
And I drove 3 to 4 middle school boys, they were my son and his friends, there to volunteer one summer, and they had a blast. So tell us some more of your other volunteer opportunities, maybe that we haven't mentioned yet.
Yes. Well, the food sorting is probably the most popular.
Yes, my son did like that.
Yes, they love it. It has a working conveyor belt straight out of I Love Lucy, where all the food comes by and you have to put it into the correct box in the category. You know, and we have lots of organizations who love, and corporations, they love to do team building activities. It's a 2-hour slot. You can sign up for all of that on our website as well. But then also we have the senior kit box packing. We have volunteer drivers who go and pick up from the retail stores every morning. We have a volunteer electrician. We have people who work in the garden. We have people who help clean our warehouse. We have a volunteer who folds my thank you notes. Pretty much if there's any skill that you have that you would love to be able to provide to Food Share, let's say you're good at building websites or anything like that, we are open to talking to you, and no opportunity is going to go unthanked.
Oh, very good. I do know that your volunteer coordinator is very enthusiastic and very nice.
She is wonderful. Christina Forino is our director of volunteer services, and I always say that she has the more difficult job. I have 30 employees, and she has these 2,500 volunteers that she coordinates. Sure. But putting all those together and getting them into the time slot that they works for them, being able to do their orientation and be able to train them. She does an amazing job, and she has always got a smile on her face.
Yes, she does. I do want to ask, so like working in the garden, that's a year-round opportunity, right?
It is. That's the beauty of living in Ventura County. Yes. There is always some vegetable or fruit that is growing in that garden. We work very closely with the head gardener. His name is Bob, and that he is growing some amazing things. And I think he said that we're going to be harvesting almost 12,000 pounds of food from the garden this year. Yeah.
Wow. That's from the garden itself, that it produces that much food.
He has a green thumb, I think.
Wow. Do you know what the acreage is of the land that you use?
It's 10 acres.
Oh, wow. That's a good size. Tell us about how people can find out about volunteering.
If you're interested in volunteering, it's actually very simple. There's an online application that you can sign up online on foodshare.com. Put out all your information in there, and then once you are signed up, you'll come in for a tour and an orientation, and you can sign up for your opportunity online as well.
Oh, and you did say there was like a team building community grouping of volunteers. That sounds like fun. Do a lot of people do that?
They do.
Yeah.
They do. And they get very competitive too. So at the end of the food sorting, you'll know exactly how many pounds of food you've sorted, and then how many meals that equals, and do your group picture. And people get very competitive because they want to get on the wall of the top sorters.
Oh, excellent. That sounds like community building too.
It is. It's fun, and it's for such a good cause, and it makes people feel really good when they leave because they know they've done something that's going to make a difference.
Excellent. I would like to add one more new piece of information to the Community Chest segment, which is also a place for community resource information. The YMCA now offers adaptive programs which provide opportunities for fun, socialization, and physical activity for youth with special needs. They have ongoing music movement, gymnastics, and art classes. More details and schedules can be found on their website at www.ciyymca.org/Ventura. Wow, would you believe we are out of time? That's our show for today. I want to thank Monica White from FoodShare for joining me today. Thanks for running a great resource in our community.
Thank you for having me and the opportunity to be able to share about what we do.
It was my honor and joy to have you join me today. I feel that FoodShare is a definite local treasure. Thanks so much for listening to Ventura Vibe, a podcast dedicated to celebrating the community of Ventura, California.